जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा
जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा
जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय
गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, Creation. Chapter number 5, Narada's instructions on Srimad-Bhagavatam. Text number 32. Etat samsuchitam brahman tapatraya chikitsitham yat ishvare bhagavati karma ब्रह्मणि भावितम् एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्म तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् यदीश्वरे भगवती कर्म ब्रह्मणि भावितम् एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्मं तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् यदीश्वरे भगवती कर्म ब्रह्मणि भावितम् एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्मं तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् यदीश्वरे भगवती कर्म ब्रह्मणि भावितम् एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्मं तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् यदीश्वरे भगवती माभिभावितम् एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्मं तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् भगवती एतत् संसूचितं ब्रह्मं तापत्रय चिकीर्षितम् यदीश्वरे भगवती word meaning etat, this much, samsuchitam, decided by the learned, Brahman, O Brahmana Vyasa, Tapatraya, three kinds of miseries, Chikit-sitam, remedial measures, Yat, what? Ishvare, the Supreme Controller, Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead, Karma, one's prescribed activities, Brahmani, unto the great, Bhavitam, dedicated. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Please repeat this translation. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Purport. Sri Narada Muni personally experienced that the most feasible and practical way to open the path of salvation or get relief from all miseries of life is to hear submissively the transcendental activities of the Lord from the right and bona fide sources. This is the only remedial process. The entire material existence is full of miseries. Foolish people have manufactured out of their tiny brains many remedial measures for removing the threefold miseries pertaining to the body and mind, pertaining to the natural disturbances, and in relation with other living beings. The whole world is struggling very hard to exist out of these miseries. But men do not know that without the sanction of the Lord, no plan or no remedial measure can actually bring about the desired peace and tranquility. The remedial measure to cure a patient by medical treatment is useless if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. To cross a river or the ocean by a suitable boat is no remedial measure if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. We should know for certain that the Lord is the ultimate sanctioning officer, and we must therefore dedicate our attempts to the mercy of the Lord for ultimate success, or to get rid of the obstacles on the path of success. The Lord is all pervading, all powerful, omniscient, and omnipresent. He is the ultimate sanctioning agent of all good or bad effects. We should therefore learn to dedicate our activities unto the mercy of the Lord and accept Him either as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It does not matter what one is, one must dedicate everything in the service of the Lord. If one is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, etc., then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Try to study the energy of the Lord in every sphere of life. Do not decry Him and try to become like Him, or take His position simply by fragmental accumulation of knowledge. If one is an administrator, statesman, warrior, politician, etc., then one should try to establish the Lord's supremacy in statesmanship. Fight for the cause of the Lord as Sri Arjuna did. In the beginning, Sri Arjuna, the great fighter, declined to fight, but when he was convinced by the Lord that the fighting was necessary, Sri Arjuna changed his decision and fought for his cause. Similarly, if one is a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist, etc., then one should spend his hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. Think always that the money which is accumulated is the wealth of the Lord. Wealth is considered to be the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the Lord is Narayana, or the husband of Lakshmi. Try to engage Lakshmi in the service of Lord Narayana and be happy. That is the way to realize the Lord in every sphere of life. The best thing is, after all, to get relief from all material activities and engage oneself completely in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But in case of the absence of such an opportunity, one should try to engage in the service of the Lord everything for which one has specific attraction, and that is the way of peace and prosperity. The word samsuchitam in this stanza is also significant. One should not think for a moment that the realization of Narada was childish imagination only. It is not like that. It is so realized by the expert and erudite scholars, and that is the real import of the word samsuchitam. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, so this is a verse spoken by Narada to Vyasadeva. So he's we have read that Narada has talked about his past life, where he has said that he had the good fortune of associating with the Bhakti Vedantas and hearing from them. And after he heard from them and he served them, he received some instructions from these Bhakti Vedantas who have instructed him in the most confidential knowledge. So after that, now Narada is saying that from whatever he has learned from the Bhakti Vedantas, he has learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Tapatraya Chikichitam. So the remedial measure for Tapatraya, the three kinds of miseries. Narada has understood from the learned people that the remedy for the threefold miseries is what? Yadishware Bhagavati Karma Brahmani Bhavitam. That all our activities, karma, has to be dedicated, bhavitam, to Ishware Bhagavati Brahmani. Either to Ishwara or Bhagavan or to Brahman. Ishvara is the Paramatma feature. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Bhagavati refers to the Bhagavan feature and Brahmani refers to the Brahman feature. So Prabhupada is also telling in the purport, we should therefore learn to dedicate our activities unto the mercy of the Lord and accept Him either as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada's instruction to Vyasa is, if we want remedies from the threefold miseries, we have to dedicate all our activities to either Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So everybody in this world, we are all only trying to overcome the miseries of material existence. The threefold miseries, as Prabhupada has also explained in this purport, which are defined in the Vedas as Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Daivika Klesha, and Adi Bhautika Klesha. Three miseries. Adhyatmika Klesha are miseries pertaining to the body and mind, and Adi Daivika Klesha are miseries pertaining to natural disturbances, and Adi Bhautika Klesha are miseries in relation with other living beings. So these three kind of miseries everybody is experiencing in this material world. And these miseries are apart from the miseries of birth, disease, old age and death. So in this world, Prabhupada is explaining that foolish people, what are they trying to do? They are trying to get out of these miseries, but they do not know how to get out of them. Foolish people have manufactured out of their tiny brains many remedial measures for removing the threefold miseries pertaining to the body, mind, pertaining to natural disturbances, and in relationship with other living beings. So why is Prabhupada calling this a foolish attempt? The desire is there for all of us. Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. None of us want to be under or experience these sufferings. Correct? So that is why the entire world, the world leaders, the people, they are all trying how we can overcome these miseries. For instance, when a few years back there was the problem of agricultural shortage in India, somebody came up with a brilliant idea called Green Revolution, where they said if you use more fertilizers, more pesticides, instead of going for subsistence farming, we do mechanized farming, we have larger tracts of land that will improve the output so much. Then we will no longer be under the control of material nature. We'll build big dams, we will ensure that water supply is continuously there, and the agricultural output will go up so much that there will be no more shortage of grain. So it was very successful. Many states like Punjab, which adopted this very enthusiastically, they saw that the agricultural output had gone up so much, and they were able to get, even though the fertilizers and pesticides, by using them it required more and more water, still they were able to get water because of the huge dams and all which were built. So this continued for 10 years, 15 years. But after that they started seeing that every year they had to increase the amount of pesticides and fertilizers that they have to use. And many of these pests which were being killed, they were no longer coming, but they saw that some new pests had started coming. So then they had to discover newer and newer varieties of pesticides, which were more and more expensive. And also earlier, what quantity of fertilizers they were putting, that was not sufficient. So they had to put more and more chemical fertilizers. And so they continued to do that because they saw that output is increasing. So this is only one type of investment. So let us do more and more. And they were going on doing. And now it has come to a point, they say, that the carbon content of the soil in these states, which have very enthusiastically adopted to these principles, is so high that they have become very, very unsuitable for farming. So, in the Bhagavatam also Prahlad Maharaj says that material solutions to material problems it's such that the solution is worse than the initial problem. Earlier the farmer, he was maybe some small amount he was producing only for himself and his family. Some cow was there, that cow dung was used as manure. Whatever seeds was available with him, only that he used to use. And maybe what he was producing was enough for his family members or for some people in his village. He was unable to export and lead a very, very high quality of life. But whatever was there, he could be content with that and remain satisfied. But when we try to overrule the laws of material nature, what is happening? We are only being faced with newer and newer problems. So that is why Prabhupada is calling all these attempts as foolish, because they are not addressing the root cause of the problem. They are only superficially seeing some symptoms, that there is some problem caused to this body, some problems are caused by the nature, some problems are caused by other living entities. They are superficially able to see the symptoms, but they are not able to see the root cause. So entire modern education, modern civilization is only seeing this at a very, very superficial level and trying to address these problems. Today, technology has also increased so much. So people thought that now that mobile phone has come, computer has come, we will become more efficient. And by being more efficient, what will happen? We will have more time at our disposal. We can spend more time with our near and dear ones. Correct? That was the way they were projecting advancement of technology, smartphone, internet and all that. So we all have experience. All of us have smartphones. We all have internet. How many of us have more time than before to spend with our relatives and friends? Correct? So the boss is seeing, oh, this fellow has got smartphone, this fellow has got internet, let him work from home also. That is what is happening ultimately. So in the name of productivity, more time, these are all, we think that by having these material solutions, our life will be better off. But in reality, we are seeing that is not the case. That is not happening. In fact, people have lesser time. It has become a big headache. It is better not to have a smartphone sometimes, so that you are not disturbed. If you want to be peaceful, people say, I keep away my mobile phone for some time so that I can be more peaceful. So that is why Prabhupada is saying these are all foolish attempts. We should never place our faith on material solutions for happiness, peace and freedom from all these miseries. So the subject matter of Srimad-Bhagavatam is also freedom from these three miseries. But Srimad-Bhagavatam is looking at the root. So in the very beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is said, So in the very beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is said that in the second verse or third verse, second verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam, what is the subject matter of Srimad-Bhagavatam? Dharma projita kaitavatro parama nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. The subject matter of Srimad-Bhagavatam is tapatraya unmoolanam. The threefold miseries, unmoolanam. The meaning of unmoolanam is to remove from the root. So, what modern civilization is trying to do, at the surface it is seeing what these problems are and it is trying to address them. But what is Srimad-Bhagavatam trying to do? It is trying to uproot these threefold miseries right from the root so that they do not recur again and again. So, what is the solution Srimad-Bhagavatam is giving? Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. It says, the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in the heart. So the approach the Srimad Bhagavatam is taking for freedom from the threefold miseries is by educating the reader of what the absolute truth is. And Bhagavatam is saying that if this highest reality, this highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion, is known, then what happens? One is free from all the threefold miseries of material existence. So basically we can see that knowledge is the cause of freedom from all these miseries, and ignorance is the cause because of which somebody is undergoing all these miseries. So what is this knowledge which the Srimad Bhagavatam is giving? This knowledge is that Krishna is the supreme cause of everything. Everything that we see is nothing but an energy of Krishna, which is inconceivably one with and different from him. So basically there is nothing in this world which exists other than Krishna and Krishna's energies. This is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now somebody might ask, okay, how is it that if I know this, or if I realize this, that Krishna is the supreme cause of all causes? Krishna is the cause of everything. Everything is non-different from Krishna. How simply by knowing this, I will be freed from all miseries of material existence? For example, if we are all chanting Hare Krishna and we are going to office, is it that the boss will stop troubling us? We will continue to have Adi Bhautika Klesha. The boss will continue to trouble us. We have been in Chennai for the past 5-6 years. We all have been coming to the temple. We have been chanting. We have been doing devotional service. But every year flood is coming. Some of your houses would have got inundated also. Correct? So, even then there is Adi Bhautika Klesha, Adi Atmika Klesha, Adi Daivaka Klesha. All these kleshas are there. But we know absolute truth is Krishna. We know Krishna is the source of everything. Then how can we say that simply by knowing that Krishna is the absolute truth, or Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and all energies are Krishna's energies, one can be freed from these threefold miseries of material existence? So the nature of this material world is that these material existence, these material miseries will continue. This is the nature of this material world. Material world means Adi Atmika Klesha, Adi Daivika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha. It is bound to be there. That is how this material world is created. Krishna has said it is Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. That is the nature of this material world. This is not going to change. So whether we are in devotional service or whether we are not in devotional service, this place will witness all these miseries. It was there 100 years back, now it is there. After 100 years also, these things are bound to be there. That's why Krishna says, Prakritisthani karshati. Manashashtan indriyani prakritisthani karshati. How much ever we may try to control material nature, we are only engaged in a struggle for existence. This struggle is going to continue. But what happens when we know this truth is that the way we perceive these occurrences is different. The way we respond to these occurrences is completely different. And how we have to be in this material world is explained in this verse by Narada Muni. He says, the only way by which one can be free from all these miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Lord. Only when we dedicate our activities, even though we are in this material world, we are engaged in so many activities, and this world is filled with different kinds of miseries. When we start dedicating our activities to the Supreme Lord, we will start experiencing freedom from miseries. How is this possible? So, we have to understand that when one is in the bodily concept of life, what is one trying to do? When he has no idea about Krishna, he has no idea about what one's real identity is, he has no idea of his relationship with the Supreme Lord, how is one trying to experience happiness? He is trying to experience happiness with his body, with his mind and with his senses. And Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita what is the nature of this happiness which is experienced by the senses. What does Krishna say? He says, Yehi samsparshaja bhogha dukkhayonaya evate. All the happiness that you experience with your senses, which is in contact with the sense objects. What is this? Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayonaya evate. It is only a source of misery. And not only a source of misery, adya antavanta kaunteya. Oh Arjuna, even though some happiness you are experiencing by this, it has got a beginning and an end. So yes, there is some happiness in this material world. Even the Shastra also say, there are three kinds of happiness. The first kind is material happiness. The second happiness is happiness of realizing your oneness with the Brahman or your spiritual identity. And the third happiness is happiness derived from devotional service. So there is no denying the fact that there is some happiness in this material world, but this happiness comes with a rider. And that rider is, if you are trying to experience this material happiness, be prepared for dukkha also. Because the moment we identify ourselves with this body, we should understand that this body is under the laws of material nature. And material nature means it is subject to adhyatmika, adidaivika and adibhautika. So as long as one doesn't understand his true constitutional position, he does not understand the constitutional position of Krishna, and he does not see how all these things are related to Krishna, he will only be pursuing material happiness. And if he is pursuing material happiness, he is subject to the threefold miseries of material existence. He cannot escape from tapatraya or the threefold miseries of material existence. Okay. So now if suppose one reads from the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and comes to this understanding that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. That I am part and parcel of Krishna, that Krishna is the cause of everything, and all this material energy which I am seeing are energies of Krishna, and therefore everything has to be used in his service. Then what happens? Then how can one, just by understanding this and by doing this, how can one be freed from the miseries of material existence? Let us take a practical example. Let us say we all are going to the office, we have to do some work, we have to earn some money. So in the first instance, why are we going to the office? We want to earn so much money, and this money we have to use for our sense gratification. Correct? So we are working hard, earning money, and the boss is giving us so much trouble, and then we become completely disgusted. What is this? Adi Bhautika Klesha is coming. I am not able to go home and enjoy in sense gratification also. Correct? But now let us say somebody has realized the absolute truth. He is going to office, working for 8 hours. Boss tells him, you work for 12 hours. I will give you more money. Then what is happening? So what is happening? This person starts thinking, okay, boss is giving me trouble, but he's also giving me more money. This money, let me use in Krishna's service. And what happens because of that? He is experiencing a transcendental pleasure. Even though he's experiencing material distress. My boss is giving me trouble, he's making me work more hours. But because the result of that work is being offered to Krishna, he is experiencing transcendental happiness. And this transcendental happiness is also described in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 6th chapter, Krishna experiences how a transcendentalist who understands his constitutional position experiences transcendental happiness. So, in the 6th chapter, Krishna is talking about the state of samadhi, where he says, Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrahya matindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. The state of perfection is called trance or samadhi, where one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. So, when one starts dedicating his activities to Krishna, while externally it may appear that such a person is also under the threefold miseries of material existence, the reality is that because he is coming in contact with Krishna, by dedicating his activities to Krishna, he is experiencing transcendental happiness. And because such a person is experiencing such transcendental happiness, he is at once free from the threefold miseries of material existence. So, this is the secret of freedom from material existence, uprooting, tapatraya unmoolanam. From the root you are able to do it. Now, for doing this, one has to have this understanding that everything that we see is also energy of Krishna. And that is possible only if one understands the philosophy of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. If somebody is an impersonalist, he will say Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So the only way for such a person to experience freedom from miseries is to attain to the state of Brahman realization by giving up everything material. But in our case, we don't have to do that. Because we understand that this material energy is also Krishna's energies. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram, Krishna says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankaram iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtada. So our philosophy is, we understand that everything in this world belongs to Krishna, and therefore everything can be engaged in Krishna's service. So a materialist looks at everything with a view for sense gratification. And when one understands this philosophy of the Bhagavatam, he sees how everything can be engaged in Krishna's service. Prabhupada is also pointing out the same in his purport, where he says that It does not matter what one is. One must dedicate everything in the service of the Lord. If one is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, etc., then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. If one is an administrator, statesman, warrior, politician, etc., then one should try to establish the Lord's supremacy in statesmanship. Fight for the cause of the Lord as Sri Arjuna did. In the beginning, Sri Arjuna, the great fighter, declined to fight. But when he was convinced by the Lord that the fighting was necessary, Sri Arjuna changed his decision and fought for his cause. Similarly, if one is a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist, etc., then one should spend his hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. Think always that the money which is accumulated is the wealth of the Lord. Wealth is considered to be the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the Lord is Narayana, or the husband of Lakshmi. Try to engage Lakshmi in the service of Lord Narayana and be happy. That is the way to realize the Lord in every sphere of life. So, this is the solution which Narada Muni is giving, and Prabhupada is also explaining in the purport, that we should dedicate all our activities to the service of the Lord, by which we can experience this freedom from the threefold miseries. Now, why is it that by knowing this also, sometimes people are unable to do this? Why are they unable to experience freedom from these threefold miseries? This is also explained in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. As to what kind of people do not follow this process to experience the miseries of the threefold miseries of material existence. So in the 7th canto, it is said, Kutumba poshaya viyannijayur na buddhyate artam vihatam pramattaha sarvatra tapatraya dukkhitatma nirvidyate na swakutumba ramaha. It is said, one who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He also fails to understand that the purpose of human life, a life suitable for realization of the absolute truth, is being imperceptibly spoiled. However, he is very cleverly attentive to see that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffers from threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. So, we all have a choice. Prabhupada several times tells this, that we have a choice either to serve Krishna or to serve material energy. So in this verse, what we are seeing is the example of a person who has chosen to be happy by being attached to material affairs. He is doing his duty very perfectly. As it is pointed out, he is very cleverly attentive to see that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Why? Because he wants to ensure that materially everything is pakka. My family is properly taken care, proper insurance is taken, their future is well protected, I am taking them on regular vacations outside, I am ensuring that I work well so that I get my next promotion, my children are getting good education so that they are also getting good education and they are settled down. All these things is perfectly ensuring. But this person is not dedicating his activities to Lord Krishna. So if we only do our activities perfectly without dedicating it to Lord Krishna, then here it is said, such a person cannot be free from the threefold miseries of material existence. At another place also, Srimad-Bhagavatam says that, Swanushtitasya dharmasya vishwaksena katasuyaha na utpadayed yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. Very perfectly you might do your duty, Swanushtitasya dharmasya. But Vishwaksena katasuyaha na utpadayed. By doing your duty perfectly, if you are not developing attachment to hear the activities of the Lord, then it is shrama eva kevalam. It is a wasted effort. Why it is a wasted effort? Because you are still under the influence of the threefold miseries. You have to undergo the threefold miseries of material existence. So the purpose of this human life is for athato brahma jigyasa. It is for inquiring. I am struggling so hard, I am working so hard, everything I am doing perfectly. Still why I am under the influence of the threefold miseries of material existence. This is the purpose of human life. And if we are not inquiring, then our life is a waste. Shrama eva hi kevalam. It is a waste of this human form of life. Cats, dogs, animals, all of them are also working hard. They are also trying to see how they can maximize their happiness, but they cannot inquire. They cannot inquire into why are we suffering, what is the purpose of life, who is controlling all this. They are unable to inquire. So as human beings, if we are also not doing this, we are simply perfectly trying to manage our material affairs without dedicating our activities to Krishna, our life is a total failure. It is a complete failure. So our life can only be a success if we dedicate our activities to the Lord. This we see in the life of Sanatana Goswami. He was such a big government official 500 years ago in the kingdom of Bengal. He renounced everything and he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his first question was this: who am I and why am I under the influence of these threefold miseries? I don't remember the Bengali verse. It is something like Kenayami Tapatraya Kena, something like that. He says, who am I and why am I under the influence of these threefold material miseries? So because he had earned so much money, he had such a wonderful family, but he was so respected in the society, but he was not satisfied. So therefore, the subject matter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is said it is only for people who are materially exhausted, who are tired of this material existence, who have understood that no matter materially whatever I might achieve, I am only going to be unhappy. Only if this attitude one has, one can actually dedicate his life to Krishna, dedicate his activities to Krishna. But if we are still optimistic about material life, then what happens? As in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam it is pointed out, we will try to be very expertly managing our material lives instead of dedicating whatever activities we have to Krishna's service. So because we are students of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, we have to be very intelligent in making this choice. Where is it we have to apply our intelligence? Do we want to apply our intelligence in seeing how we can serve Krishna more? Or do we want to apply our intelligence in making a nice material adjustment? This choice we have to maintain. And from the Bhagavatam we understand that only when we make a choice to dedicate our activities to Krishna, we can actually experience freedom from the threefold miseries. Otherwise, whatever we may do, it will only be stopgap solutions. Okay? So these are some of the understandings from today's verse. We will stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.